Alright, we're going to talk about a Scorpio today. Alright, so let's just start off with, how do you know a Scorpio likes you? As a friend, as a lover, as an acquaintance? Like, how do you know you're getting in on their good side? Because they're pretty friendly with everybody unless they really, really, really don't like you. Alright? Like, usually if they're somewhat okay with you, you can walk into their house and like, oh, what's up? And if they, let's just start, okay, if they go, oh, what's up? And then you sit down and you're trying to socialize, you're trying to talk to them, and they're just not giving you nothing. They might already know some stuff about you, and they just don't like you. Right? But not really. Like, if you want to know if a Scorpio actually is, like, into you, like, romantically, they're going to want you over all the time. Now, how it's, like, literally, they're going to want you over at their house all the time. And usually how that situation unfolds is they will invite a friend of yours, or somebody who they know that knows you, and you're also going to get invited to their house, or that situation, that party, whatever. They're gonna pick somebody out who knows you, or they're going to find somebody who knows you, whatever. But they're gonna find a way to get you over to their house. Usually it's through friends at first, because they're not like socially awkward people at all, so they won't care about having that one-on-one talk with you. But what happens is they want to see a little bit who, you really are. Okay? And usually that's how they end up liking you in the first place, is because you know somebody they know, they're already out in public with you. So that's like a good way to start with a Scorpio, is to just be there and be present. Like, don't be like all in their face, and don't like be a ditz too to try to get their attention, because that usually doesn't work unless you're doing things, unless you have like a lot, like you're being ditzy, and then they find out, the Scorpio finds out you have a lot of the same interests as them. Because, alright, so this is, yeah, so let's go back. Let's just rewind it forward here. So, first step they're going to, again, like I said before, is find somebody that knows you, and they're going to find a way to get you over to the party that they're at, or to their house. Usually it's their house. That's where they feel the most comfortable. A lot of times they're a homebody, which is pretty nice. And it's kind of weird, because you always find Scorpios dating other Scorpios. A very, very good match. And I don't care what your like little sun signs or the astrology stuff say, because a Scorpio with a Scorpio is like magnetic. It's very much karmic, because it's almost like a Scorpio, they really bond deeply with one another, because that a Scorpio is like a very intense person. Everyone talks about how they stare at you, their gaze, all that stuff, which is very much true. So, like, okay, here you are. You're over at their house. You're over at the party. You're into the Scorpio. You're going to start noticing if they're physically attracted to you, that they're just going to start, staring at you. They're going to start paying attention to how you interact with your friends, and how you interact with other people, okay, whether you know them or not, because they like to stare at people a lot, which I'm sure you already know, but like, it's just their way to get you out into public and to see who you are, like how you interact with people. And if they like it, if they know that you have a lot of the same like common interests as they do, then they'll bring you in closer. Okay? Then it will start being, okay, they're going to invite you and your best friend over. So now it's just a party of 3. You often find out when like a Scorpio has a party, it's usually a very small party. So if you are invited to one of those, that's already pretty much a good sign. That means that they already want to be friends with you. They already want to socialize with you, because when there's small parties, it's only like they're good friends, and they're able to be more relaxed. So, then all of a sudden it starts going from like the social scene to a small group. And if you're in the small group, now here's like the biggest way you can kind of tell is they're weird, and I find a lot of times they will tell somebody else instead of telling you directly that they either have a crush on you, they think you're hot, they think you're sexy, they want to get to know you, and then it goes to the grapevine and gets back to you. Now it's kind of like your choice to approach them. If you're a shy person, like, don't freak out, because if you're a shy person, a lot of times they will, sometimes they'll think that's cute too. It just really depends on, the kind of Scorpio they are, because sometimes they can come off as very quiet and, they could just do their own thing. They can listen to music and sit there, and they'll fucking drink their beer, they'll smoke their pot, I don't know. But, if long, okay, so then you're like at that, so you'll hear it through the grapevine, or they'll kind of start flirting with you. And Scorpios are very good with like having happy interactions with people that they do, find attractive, or they do have a connection with. So that's one thing, okay? So you'll start noticing that they'll pinpoint you out, or they'll make jokes about you. When I was younger, which it could just be a younger thing, but I've dated a lot of Scorpios. I have a Scorpio moon. They will often joke with other people. They'll make like these like weird or rude or really sexual like jokes. Either they're directed towards you or they're not, but just to see how you'll react, because a Scorpio, in order to even get along with one, you have to have like some kind of dark, demented mind. And for me, that's like no big deal, okay? Like, you have to, you have to be open and okay with like talking about sexual experiences. You have to be open and okay about talking about death. You have to be alright with making kind of like dark jokes or dark comments, or if somebody else makes a dark joke, like depending on what it is, you have to be able to relate with them to even get that step further, because, if they're making the one-on-one conversations with you, you're doing really well, and you have that chance for them to have like a physical attraction to you, or for you to even be like a likable friend for them. But you have to have, like, in a weird way, like some kind of like a humor to you, or like I said, you have to be open to talk about the nitty-gritty things and find it funny and actually find it interesting, because that's what they find interesting. They love talking about sex. They like to talk about other people, not in a gossiping way, but they like to read other people's minds, because they're very intuitive. And if someone's just like a blank canvas, they won't find that very interesting, So you have to, they're not like an air sign where you have to be completely sociable all the time to keep their interest. It's like, as long as you're funny, as long as you're open to doing sexual things and talking about sexual things, you're good. As long as you're okay with being a homebody a little bit, like, you can still go out and socialize, because they'll socialize when they're out in the sphere. Yeah, they might get tired fast, but, if you keep diving into it deeper with a Scorpio, they, a lot of times they want to go home really quick, but if they really are into you, they're going to want to make sure you come home with them, sexual or just companionship. They really will be that person who kind of like stays later at the party. If you're a partier, they'll hang out with you. They'll want to leave when you do, so they know that you're not with somebody else, right? So, but okay, so I'm kind of like losing track because I'm bouncing all over the place with a Scorpio. So, the good things about Scorpio. And then we'll go into deeper about what it's like being in a relationship. That was just kind of signs that they like you. If you could follow those through, or what you have to do to catch their interest, I guess. But, oh, now what was I talking about? Fuck, I already lost my spot. I'm so bad at these. I get weird about being on camera. But, good things about Scorpio. First of all, their sense of humor is like out of this world. I've never been around a single Scorpio who doesn't have some kind of like comical just sense of humor, because yeah, like they're dark and I think it's funny, but like a lot of times they'll like pick on you or say shitty things, and if you're a person who gets really offended really quickly, either A, they'll want to keep you around because they like making fun of you because you get so offended by it. Or two, they're picking on you because they know you can take it and they think that's really cool. Like, you'll start to notice them, pointing you out a little bit. And that's a good sign that you're at least on a friendship level with them. Like, if you can't take, like, their little, like, funny jokes about them making fun of you, then just back up, because you're not ready to even be, like, in a relationship with one. Alright? So the other thing that's awesome about Scorpio is they're amazing lovers. They're really good in bed. A lot of times I've heard stories, but they can be it's okay. I'm just gonna jump. They can be really good at oral. Okay, maybe not the physical act themselves, because, and some of them are, don't get me wrong, because they're supposedly like one of the top best lovers, but orally they're on point. But anything else, they want to have like a really soul connection with you, so they'll like touch you in different places that nobody else will. They will want to try new things, almost like an air sign, but not so spontaneous. They'll want to cuddle afterwards. They'll want to keep seeing you if they're really into you, and if they're really into, they'll want to keep seeing you, but now it's only going to be you two. At first the friends might still be involved because they need that distraction to show you, okay, this is who I really am, because sometimes they get nervous, like at first, with showing you all their true colors, because they're really real and they're cool, calm, and collective on the surface, but there's so much going on behind that they express it through the people around them. So when you do find yourself in those one-on-one connections with a Scorpio, then you know that, like, okay, like this can go deeper if I want it to get deeper, kind of thing. They'll often try to like drink with you. They'll try to do something to ease the tension, which I know like a lot of just people in general do that, but they can be one of the people who do like a substance abuse, or they try to get lost, kind of like a Pisces. They try to get lost in a little bit of fantasy, but they just want to keep things different. So, anyways, another good thing about a Scorpio, I already talked about them being good lovers. I already talked about them and their really good sense of humor. Now, when you're actually in a relationship with one, it gets pretty intense. Like, you're gonna probably be with them 24/7, and if you're not, they're gonna end up thinking you don't like them. I want to tell you that they're not really people who play mind games. They might at first, because for them it piques an interest, and it really does give that illusion of, the cat and mouse, somebody chasing somebody. But if it keeps going on too long, they might like whatever, because they get actually like really offended. Like if they like you and then you fool around with somebody and you're like, well, I didn't even know you fucking liked me, or I didn't even know this was going on between us, they actually get really offended and they can hold a grudge for a long time. Because like the way okay, long story short, the way you're getting really close with a Scorpio is if you're spending quantity alone time, but for long periods of time. That means that like you're staying over, not like once. Like you'll stay the night and have like a fling with them, and then the next day you're seeing them again one way or another, whether you're with friends or whether you're by yourself. And they'll always find a way. They'll either want you to come drink with them because like they're like, they think in your mind, okay, if I ask him or her to come drink with me or to do something with me, that seems social, but it's just us, it might convince whoever, the Scorpio is talking to that, okay, that's okay. Like, it's nothing too romantic yet. Because a lot of times they don't want you to think, like, ooh, this is romantic, because they're scared to, like, show that side. But once you start dating them, they do start to show that side, right? So, the bad things, they get really jealous. And they get very vengeful, okay? And I dated one for like 3 years. I know this. It got really bad towards the end, but not all Scorpios are like that, so hey. But I do come to find that they are one of the most jealous signs. I really do. I've had so many friends and so many lovers and so many other stories that people have said to me that it's just, even acquaintances, I still see that with them, that they get very jealous. And it's not possessive. It's not like, okay, you're mine and I only, want you to be mine. It's just, where are you going? Oh, who you texting, babe? Like, oh, who you texting? And then really they're like, who the fuck are you texting? It gets really, like, weird. And they can get a little bit insecure about things sometimes. If they're really comfortable with you, they'll admit to you about their insecurities because they're on that deep level and that's just who they are, and they want you to accept that and they want you to express that with them. Your own insecurities. They'll know your insecurities too. They're really good at just having those conversations that just pull that out of you. Because they're intense people. Personally, I kind of like that. So if you don't like those feelings and those things that you try to keep hidden from people, if you don't like that, then maybe a Scorpio isn't for you, because eventually, even if you don't see it now and you're just talking to one or you're friends with one or whatever your situation, you haven't got to that point with them yet, it's gonna come. And depending who you are, it's just sometimes it gets not too much, but for some people it might, because like I said, they do get kind of insecure about things and they don't portray that like when you first meet them at all. Like, and it's weird. It's just gradually they really start to do that, and like I said, they get really jealous, and it'll get stronger as you continue. They'll set those boundaries of what you can and can't do, like at the beginning with you, even when you're just sleeping with them. Like, you talk about another male or a female and they're like, didn't you like used to have a thing with them? And like, they're making it like an open discussion, but they're remembering everything that you said. So you want to be careful, okay? They're just those kind of intense people, to where some of us, that's cute and that's meaningful that they're even talking about that they're even asking us about that, because some of us would be like, no, like, they're my friend, and then they're like, okay, well, I'm just asking, and then, other people are gonna be like, dude, I can't have fucking friends, like, what? No, and then that will, like, hurt them, and that will hurt a Scorpio, and then they'll want to take a little bit of revenge on you. They won't show it. They're vengeful. I personally like I don't know, I think it's just because I have a Scorpio moon, but sometimes I like that vengefulness, which I'm going to say on this video that it's maybe the darker side of them, because sometimes they just don't let go like a Taurus. Like, they can fool a lot of people, and they'll still hold something. They'll remember the things that you did. They'll remember the things that you said or didn't say. Because when you are in a relationship with them, you already have those boundaries. Like I said before, they're very good at setting certain boundaries with you at the beginning of a relationship, whether you see it or whether you don't. Like, you'll know that it's not okay to be texting exes or to be hanging out with certain people maybe that are a little bit more, I want to say a little bit more sexual. I don't want to say a whore, but let's just say that anyway. If you have like those friends who party a lot and they always can manipulate you to do bad things. A Scorpio can see that those people manipulate you to do bad things, and that gets them worried. So they don't want you hanging out with those people. So just know, like, everything that they do, there's a deeper meaning behind it, you know? So, you know, for some people, that comes across as like, well, why can't I hang out with my friends? That's bullshit. And for others of us who are compatible with a Scorpio, we're like, okay, babe, like, I understand that. Like, you know, I don't want to go to the party unless you're with me, because intuitive, like, deep down, if you're one of those people, you know you might do something. And the Scorpio knows that, because Scorpios know your deepest shit. I don't know how. They just do. They hang out with you enough. That's what I was talking about in the beginning. That's why they want to hang out with you. They want to see how you interact with people. Who you talk about, what you talk about, how intense are your emotions, how are you when you drink? Do you flirt a lot? Maybe they like that you flirt a lot, but they still kind of get jealous in a weird way. But they're like so good at like a sexual and temptation act that they know you're coming back to them. These are like just different examples, but a lot of this stuff is just what I've noticed with A, dating one, like I said, for 2.5 years, B, having multiple Scorpio friends, and a lot of the people, even still to this day, that I date have some kind of Scorpio in their chart, because I have Scorpio. So it's like, if you know someone who has Scorpio in their chart, they're still going to do these things, just not, as in your face. It's more behind the scenes, I guess. But, like, you're more compatible with someone who's like that, I guess. But, yeah, so they do, they know you eventually. So if you want to date one, just know that, like, even, like, your deepest shit is going to come out into the open, whether it's talked about or not. And I know that sounds very mysterious and very odd, but they are very mysterious and they're very intuitive. They can read people very quickly, and it takes a lot to persuade their mind, and that's kind of how they become vengeful sometimes, is because they know so much of a person, and they know when things are getting rocky, or they know when things aren't okay between the two of you, because not only can they sense it, but they know you so well, and they know you don't usually do that. So just to wrap this all up, if you want to be in a relationship with one, loyalty, even though sometimes they flirt and then they get mad at you when you flirt, that happens. Okay, I think it happens with everybody anyways, but yeah. They can be very flirtatious, but their flirting is just a way for you to notice them in a weird way, but they flirt because they want you to find that attractive. Not that they're flirting with somebody, but they expect you to watch them. Not like the scene of them flirting with somebody. They want you to watch them as they flirt and pretend the other person is you. Maybe only a Scorpio would get that, but, I don't. So, anyways, I guess I'm just going to wrap up the video because I'll just keep rambling on and on. But these are just certain things that I've picked up if you're trying to date one, or if you like one, just some things to know that they're very deep, because I've watched other videos and they're like, Scorpios are so deep, but I'm here to tell you how deep they can be, and what their, not like motives, because they're not like bad people, they're just, their dark sides can be quite beautiful if you twist them into the way they want you to twist them. They're like, I'm not dark, I'm just different, kind of thing. But in order to be with, so this is, I'm sorry, but in order, so if you really do start dating one, you guys are in love, you're gonna be with them like 24/7. They are homebodies, so they expect the person that they're with to be with them all the time. And it's not like in like a creepy, like, bitch you can't leave kind of way, but it's more of, I like the comfort of you around me, like in one way, because they know you're not doing anything, but 2, they like your company, and 3, they like, They like to have that conversation with you. They like to listen to music with you. They just want to be involved in your life, and they want to be involved in your life. They want to keep learning things about it. They want to see how you interact because they like to watch you interact. That's why everyone says, "Oh, Scorpios stare at you," and they don't care, because they don't. They just want to. They just want to look. They just want to see how you're interacting. That's really it. They just want to see how you're interacting in your reacting in situations. Scorpio's not a bad person. I'll probably have to rewatch this video and see what kind of light I put them in. But that is my view on a Scorpio. Okay.